Yo, ladies and gents, Rib Pod in the house, episode 90. Glad to have you. My man Victoria's here. Your boy Javier here. And we've got a special guest in the house, Chris Nugent. He's with us tonight. What's going on, Chris?
How's it going? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Chris, Absolutely. You, brother.
Pumped to have you on. Pumped to get into all that good stuff, good soccer talk. We're just talking in the production room, a bunch of topics we're going to get into. But first, Victorious, a lot of stuff. Last time we connected was 2 weeks ago with the people here on the Rib Pod. You went to the Revs. We had 4th of July stuff going on. Chris, I don't know, you attended any barbecues, cookouts. The weather's been crazy here, in July, where it's July 13th, 7/13. We're recording 9:30 p.m. here. But a little bit of madness going on. We got the Scottish Open going on for golf.
Transfer season,
Brittany Wembenyama or Wemby did that. No, they had that whole issue going on.
I can't believe he hit her, bro.
There's madness going on. But yeah, we're here. We appreciate everyone joining us, man. This Thursday night, we're pumped to have Chris on. Just to get into what he's been into since Riv, 2011 graduate. Joins myself 2006. Victoria said he was 2007, 2008-ish, somewhere in between there. So, pumped to have him on. Like I said. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Victorious, what did I miss here?
Nah, you pretty much hit it on. We're going to touch on some stuff later on. But, yeah, Chris, man, thanks for coming on. Pleasure having you, brother. Hav, yeah, you touched on it, man. We're gonna get into it all. Been 2 weeks, so, yeah, we're back. We're back, people. We're fresh on the mind here.
Fresh.
So.
Had a lot of love on the last show. We appreciate it. This is episode 90. I don't know. You got any number 90s? We got any number 90s out there?
Nah.
I don't know.
We get up into the football stuff.
We're getting
up
there.
What I'm saying? I'm the other footballs. So.
Unbelievable. So we're in here. Like I said, the Rib Pod in the house. I was trying to say
Riv.
Excuse me, and Hab. Chris is here with us, man. Let's get right into it. First and foremost, Chris, you're coaching in Chattanooga right now. We don't want to bury the lead. The team is playing unbelievably. The form is just top notch right now. But that's a little teaser for the people. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the Riv days. Let's bring it back to Coach Simino. I don't know, Coach Simino. Did he overlap?
Chris, how'd you land with us?
Yeah, even perfect.
How'd you land with us?
What was the recruiting process?
Yeah, where'd you come from?
Give us a story.
This guy just came up from the field, fam.
Love it.
Just like we're like, yo, this
you guys playing?
Yo, you guys playing over forward? Yo, you can score, bro. Come on, yo, get up here.
Love it, Chris. Let's go. Let's get into it, man. Cheers. Welcome, Rib Pod.
Welcome.
Let's go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I came out to America 2006 and was coaching. And then often they would organize coaches via local family, guys home from college, type of thing like that. I was playing in a game. A coach saw me and mentioned going to school and university for me. I didn't really know anything of the American school system. I didn't realize how big it was or how organized maybe the sports were. It turned out that it was Southern New Hampshire. So I went there, had a tryout, I guess, in the spring with the team, but I never got cleared by the clearinghouse.
Nah, so you made it, bro. You already there was no
it took took 2 years for that to happen. So Southern New Hampshire was an option, and then Merrimack was an option as well. But I never got cleared to. I think it was Coach Martone at Merrimack said, if you play for a Division III school, you don't have to be cleared. You can play and then transfer out whenever that happens. So I was living in Bedford, New Hampshire. So I was with a sponsor family and had to find a school that was within driving distance. So it was Riv and then Daniel Webster. I don't know if I can say that name on the podcast or not. I don't know with the name of it.
We could say, hey, we don't bury anything here. But
yeah.
Hey, what is just the story right there to get into? Just how the whole waiting process and how that ipso facto, and Coach Martone too, legend over here at Merrimack.
Yeah, so I actually played for him in, I think it was the MPSL for the Boston T-Men for 1 year as well.
Legend over here.
So I was a little bit disappointed I couldn't go there. I really liked him, his style, and it was a little bit unfortunate that it never worked out. So I contacted the Riv coach, I think it was Manny Batista.
It was.
And he...
Old legend.
And then it was Coach Belcher was doing some type of summer training. I think you guys were up there at the field, the local guys. So he was like, come along and check it out. So I literally did turn up at the field. And
bro.
Is this the soccer team up here? It was the middle of summer.
Came in, lefty. I'm like, yo, come on.
Yeah, we need you.
Awesome. Get this man a jersey. Stop.
Love how that worked out.
So it was pretty much it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now, give us. I know you and Victorious overlapped for like a year, right? So give us a little. How was even that year? How was that year? Did you guys?
It
That
was
was
it was
Successful year. What
It
was the
was
scoop?
anticlimactic. I'll put it that way
yeah.
because I felt like
You,
we
you,
started off well, fam. Not to speak for Chris, but like Chris, I mean, if you recall, I mean, we ended on we lost to Daniel Webster to like
Yeah,
oh, full
yeah, I remember we
best.
had
on
yeah
a
we had a
last
good
second, on a
start,
last, yeah, it was a good start, but
and there
And
was
you
I
mentioned some.
think
Yeah, you mentioned some of the names too, Chris, on that team. I think before, right?
yeah
yeah, I
so
was
there was Uvic, there was Mike Kulig, Josh Sandoni, there was Franco, Grant was on there, Gustavo,
Some dogs.
yeah
Denicio
Yeah,
Quadros,
Denisha here
solid semester.
yeah. So we had some good players, and I thought the team was good overall. And I think the last game for us not to make the playoffs, we had to lose, and I think two other teams had to lose to lower seeds. It was pretty much everything had to go wrong, and we conceded in like the last minute. And my mum and brother came out from England for the game as well. They came out to see it, so it was a bad finish.
Yeah, well, 1-0. We dropped that
Yeah,
right at the end.
1-0.
I think that keeper played out of his mind. If you
Yeah.
recall, this dude said, I mean, and props to him. I mean, we honestly had probably like 11, 12 shots on goal. Any other day, we probably would have won that game 4-5-1, but it is what it is. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I think we just ran out of time a little bit. Yeah.
What's that, Chris?
I think we just ran out of time a little bit. Maybe another
That's
10
right.
It was, you felt it was coming. So, yeah, it was a tough end to the season because I think there was a good buzz around the team of how we've been playing and how we thought we could do.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
I agree. It was but hey, good times, man. Good
Well,
times.
you know what I like? I like that there was even like some expectations. I like that there was even like a little bit of pressure. Even like because I don't know. We played
It was
on
my
the,
final countdown.
I was
shit.
gonna say,
I was going down with a.
I played on the team, and it's like we've kept up with the team, and it's like team kind of been weak, straight up.
Yeah.
we have to keep it a buck, but
Yep.
I love to hear that a little success there or some expectations, and obviously you didn't get to where you wanted to be, but at least that's like it's better than playing for nothing. What's going on when your team's like 2-18. So
yeah, and I think it was tough because we were expecting like it was very unlikely the scenario that we weren't going to be in the playoffs at some point.
Remember the Framingham State? We opened up we went to Framingham State and opened up with a 4-3 overtime win that for us was like Framingham had,
Spicy.
obviously, yeah. And then, but how do we follow that? What we followed that up with though, Chris? Do you remember?
We won 2-0, and then we went to Norwich, right? And it kind of the wheels fell off. I don't know what happened.
Very quickly.
Yeah, it was a
they
bad
had the
day.
train running over there.
We won't say what the result was, but it was bad, fam. You guys can look it up on the internet.
It's a tough squad. No, I like that. I like I said, there's expectations. There was a good buzz around the team. That's always a good feeling anyway, just to have a positive vibe on it. Overall, Chris, how would you say your experience at Riv was? I mean, I'm assuming you lived on campus at some point.
No, I never lived on campus.
Oh, okay.
No,
I lived. Yes, see? I love to get that
did.
experience.
Yeah, Chris was there. Chris was with us.
I was there a lot. So I had a sponsor family.
Chris stayed a night or two.
I love it. See,
so my sponsor family lived in Bedford, so I would be back and forth through there. Towards senior year, I lived more on campus, kind of just as a frequent guest, I would say.
Yes.
I don't know if I don't want anyone to be listening to me get a bill for some of the nights I was there. So
hey, they're listening too. They're listening too, by the way. They're listening.
Public safety's listening.
Yeah, I know they've got my address because they keep sending me those magazines. So I got to be careful. I don't want a bill to come through the mail.
Yeah, asking for a donation, like, yo, please help me.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. No, but overall positive. Would you say?
Yes and no.
I was gonna say.
I think I had a bad experience with like soccer. Maybe the team went through a bad period when the coaches left and that final like Vic's group left. Yep. There wasn't much of a recruiting class the next year, so it was a tough year.
Tough.
It was. I mean, I played pretty much every game. I think there was one game I was injured, I didn't play, and then I got dragged off for maybe 10 minutes for maybe an attitude adjustment, I think, for want of a better word. But other than that, I started and played every game. So I guess that's a good experience to go to college and start freshman year and play all through 4 years. I was a 3-year captain, but the team struggled a little bit. So that became a bit frustrating.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It always does. By the
time it got to senior year, I think I was ready to get out into the real world. But I learned a lot probably about me when I look back at who I was in college. and who I was as a player and how I would want or wouldn't want to deal with that type of person now.
For sure.
Well, I think there was life lessons later down the line rather than immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a degree. I went to school. I got my degree. So
well, that's
counts.
a perfect segue, Chris, to what you've been up to. Obviously, we talked about Chattanooga. We talked about Riv. What have you been up to in between then? Or let's get even right into the Chattanooga stuff. How'd you get into coaching? Let's get into that bit.
So I originally got into coaching back in England.
You talked about that. That's
before I came out here, I was coaching there. And like I said, coaching's not really a full-time profession as much there, unless you're in maybe a bigger academy. It's probably changed a little bit in the last 15, 16 years. But I was coaching on the weekends or in the evenings. I was working in a body shop, so I was painting cars. And I kind of just, I know I always say it was my first midlife crisis, but I don't know if you have them at 20 years old. So
it's a quarter life crisis.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
So we'll see. So I was a little burnt out with that. And then MLS camps used to do these like summer programs. The English coaches from abroad come over, they run summer camps, they work in your town for a couple of weeks, and then you kind of go back to England and then do it all again the following summer. So I did that. Somebody dropped out injured and I got like a 2-week notice, like, hey, if you can get your visa Friday, you can come out the next Friday. So within 3 weeks, I was in Boston.
What year was that? What year was that?
2006.
06.
So
06.
I want to say it's February 7th, I think it was. It was the day before the Germany World Cup third place game.
Unbelievable.
I remember that because I was in the hotel the next day. So it was last Friday, I think, was my 17th year in America from the start.
Unbelievable. That's
Chris, we didn't touch too much on it, but like, congratulations on citizenship, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
That's wow.
That's
cheers to that.
For sure. We'll get back into the coaching stuff, but wanted to give you flowers on that, brother. You know that I know that. I
appreciate it. Yeah, that was my. This was my first July 4th on the winning team, so it was a little bit different.
Love it.
Welcome, baby.
Yeah.
Yep. Always. Let's go. You already know it, baby.
Awesome. Well, and then from that point, obviously, you went to Riv.
I went to Riv. Did a little bit of coaching in the summer, some individual stuff, but not really. Kept going just with school and I was still playing and trying to play a lot there. In the summers, I play either PDL or UPSL or MPSL, I think whatever it was called at the time.
Yep.
So it didn't leave too much time for it. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go back into coaching or get like a real job. And I was pretty close to getting, I would say, a real job as a corrections officer in Ludlow.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
Someone from school kind of set me up with the interview. They did a great, they were very helpful. And it was difficult because the whole visa situation as well coming out of college. But I just wasn't sure whether working in a jail was going to be for me
I'll
the
tell
long
you right
term.
now, Chris, it's not. And I worked for DYS, like juvenile, but I've been locked up. It's not fun, bro.
Yeah. So I was looking at other kind of potential jobs for people in my situation. You had to get an OPT, which is kind of an extension of your student visa. And I ended up looking at coaching jobs. So the company I was with, it was MLS camps. I think they became something to do with GPS or Global Premier Soccer. I know there was some crazy stuff going on with them recently. But it was them, and then there was a company in North Carolina, and there was something that stood out about the North Carolina one. And I spoke to the guy, and he ended up offering me the job. So I think it was like 2 weeks after, maybe it was a week after graduation. So 2 weeks when I first did the call, I was down in North Carolina with 2 suitcases and never been there, knew nothing about it, but it worked out. So yeah, I moved there, was coaching, kind of doing a similar thing with MLS camps, different teams each night, maybe 4 sessions a night. It was great in terms of personal like coaching development because I was coaching so much. Like I'm running 4 sessions.
What were you getting out of those like experience? Like, can you what are you guys working on in that level? Like tactical, like
so we had
just curious
from under 8s all the way up to the under 18s or 19s as they are now. So it was small town North Carolina. So there was a lot of technical work because maybe that soccer culture wasn't there of kids playing at home.
For sure.
But there was some type of, we tried to do, I hate to use like the word professional training rather than the fun and games tag.
Nah, hell no, Chris.
Like
tell it what it is, brother. It's professional. We need that culture over here. You know what I'm saying?
So
Rub it all over, bro.
I definitely think there's a place for like those fun games and tags and that type of babysitting.
Yeah.
The way the company was structured and they wanted that coaching to be like, this is what you're going to get. We're not here to babysit. We're not here for daycare.
Love it.
So that we had an academy that started the year I was there in Statesville, North Carolina, and then there was different teams. Like I said, I would coach 3 to 4 sessions a night. So I could go from the under 12 team to then coaching the under 17 boys to back to coaching under 13 girls. So you couldn't really do the same session. You couldn't really be the same coach in each session. So it gave me an incredible opportunity to be a different coach 3 times a night, 5 days a week.
Work on different pieces of your game.
Just understand how, like, talking to 12-year-old girls is very different to talking to 18-year-old boys. The same as 12-year-old boys and 18-year-old girls. So, like, trying to find that balance was good for me, especially as a coach coming from England, where you think you know everything about football, and then you start to realize that you don't know everything. So it was kind of, I wouldn't say sink or swim, but it kind of was. The boss, the owner of the company, is very demanding. Because that's how he coached and that's how he grew the company. So there was that pressure on to be what he felt was a high standard of that high intensity to session. So it's tough when you're coaching in 90-degree heat and it's your 3rd session and you're drenched in sweat and you've got the next group going on. But I mean, that's a good lesson, because if sometimes your exterior has to be a little bit different than maybe how you're feeling, depending on what that team needs at the time. So yeah, I did that for 2 years. Then I moved to a club in Winston-Salem, and that was a bit more structured. So I was an assistant director of the age group. I met some very good people there, some very high level coaches, and that kind of helped me develop and push me on, like, to that next level and maybe on the path I'm on now.
Nice.
Wow. Love to hear that, man. You know what? That was a great question, Victorious, about kind of like what he was getting out of it. And just what you said, Chris, you can't be the same coach for, any group. So you've got to develop all kinds of, it's got to be so dynamic, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine getting into the, we've had like a heat wave / rain wave over here. I don't know what the weather is like in Chattanooga, but it's, talk about getting out there and coaching. Like, no thanks, man. I got to pass on that. It's a lot
here.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It drains you quick. We've been having, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have been having like the water breaks. Just like got to slow down, have like a, right?
They do. Yeah,
everyone's doing that, right? The cool down break or whatever. Like, we're doing it.
We play most games like 7:30 at night. So by the time then the temperature dropped. But I think they played last night in Orlando. They had a water break. We've had them here before. So I'm
for sure.
Wouldn't be surprised if the next few weeks we do have them.
Water back in my day.
Well, I was gonna say, hey, you took the words right out of my mouth, Victorious.
Yo,
Chris,
I'm just saying.
Tell me that's the same way too. Like we were like denied water. Like the water
Yeah,
was
I
like,
remember. Yeah, the first
like
preseason at
Water
Riv.
sucks.
Yeah,
It
I would say
really,
like a
really
weakness
sucks.
of sorts, but like, well, I know like the coach beforehand, Scott Thomas, like big guy at Riv. He used to have them like they had to like pee like clear, like they used to have that like measurement like and that was that was long that was what 2000 really. But I remember in school we were doing like the opposite. Like I remember like playing like youth football, like tackle football, and it was like we were like denied water like during hop. It's like it's a different time.
Water, what's water?
It's a different time,
bro. Relax, like
Yeah.
It's water.
I want to sip, bro. Like, yeah,
it's gonna help me actually play better. So just those little different dynamics. They're fun to think about. Now, as you get into like the Chattanooga stuff, Chris, how would you say like this stuff? Now you're consistently coaching kind of the same level. How is that different? You still can't be the same coach every day, right?
Yeah, I think coaching is very similar to like interactions with people. How you talk and act with different people is dependent on kind of how they want to listen, how they want to receive feedback. So
every day,
Yeah, so you kind of have to adapt to that. So that was definitely coaching, helping with kids, I think, because their personalities stand out even more than maybe adults. Adults can maybe hide who they are slightly, so it can be difficult to really get to know them. But whereas kids, they don't hide their emotions that well. So, and you're dealing with parents as well. So you go from 12-year-old boys to parents in youth soccer. So that was like that. I think youth soccer was excellent for my development as a coach on the field, but also off the field with dealing with people and standing up there and talking. And
the parents, man, it's funny. We're parents ourselves.
I know.
Because you don't have any kids, right? You got a dog, right?
Yeah, I got a dog. Yeah.
Hershey, right?
Hershey. Yeah, I got a dog.
Yeah.
I love that name. I love that name.
Me too.
Cute dog. I'm teaching. I'm coaching. Just getting into my first travel. I coach both of my kids. I got a 9-year-old and a soon-to-be 5-year-old, and coaching their teams is like it gets to be a lot. The parents, it gets to be a little bit hectic. The scheduling even we get so much going on. So I can't imagine, Chris. Fill us into we talked a little bit about your scheduling. You have any? I'm sure you have some younger guys. I'm sure any of the parents the fans, the ultras. We talked about the stadium a little bit. Let's get into more like what's really cooking with Chattanooga. We can look at the standings a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited to just talk about that role a little bit. You're the assistant coach.
Yeah.
I looked a little bit on the website, saw your bio a little bit. So yeah, we can get into anything that you want to, Chris. About
I know this guy, fam. I like this. I play
yeah,
with
it's
this guy.
unbelievable. He's
Yeah,
check
it's
the
pretty cool.
website. Well, might have to
Facts.
drop a link to the
Yeah.
website, but
You know?
yeah, Chris, now's kind of your chance. Well, anything we want to share about Chattanooga?
Yeah, so Chattanooga's, it's the 15th year as a pro club. Oh, sorry, 15th year as a club. And then it started the COVID year 2021 was the first, I think it was 2021. I'm trying to think how many years back was its first pro year. So it was an amateur team to start with. It was created by a group of guys who didn't want to drive down to Alabama or Atlanta to play games. So they were like, we can have a team here. I guess they had connections in the city that threw them the keys to the stadium, like, just don't make a mess, and they give it back to us. So since then it started to grow. They were quite successful as an amateur team, getting to national finals in the MPSL, and then they turned pro I think this is their third full pro season.
Awesome.
So,
and we talked a little bit too about just like the level. They're in the third tier. The NISA is the third tier. There's the MLS. There's the league, fill us in, Chris.
Yeah, so MLS is the first tier, second tier is the USL Championship, and then the third tier, there's 3 leagues in the third tier. There's NISA, there's USL League One, and there's MLS Next Pro. So all 3 of those are ranked as third tiers, yeah.
That's awesome. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of AAA baseball, where they have like the Pacific Coast League. They have, the North Atlantic League. They have the Florida League. So yeah, that makes sense to me for sure. So what, how's the experience? How long have you been with Chattanooga? How's the experience been?
This is my second year. So I started last January, the start of the season. Our season starts April, May time. So last January was the first year. The head coach, Rod, he came in and brought me with him. So I was with him at Stumptown in Charlotte, which was also in NISA, but the club no longer exists. So I did one season, or the full season there with them. This was back when they still had the year split into 2 with COVID. So they had the kind of the spring season, a short summer break, and then the second season in the fall. So I was with him for the fall in Charlotte. We moved here in January, so that was a year and a half ago. So last year we had the first full season.
Unbelievable.
Man, that's great. Took you with them. Hey, you're coming with me, guy.
Yeah, he's looked after me. So yeah, I'm very appreciative of all that Rod's done for me.
It's unbelievable. We love to hear that stuff, man.
And now we're looking at the standings here, Chris. We got the the table up. What can we say about this year? Obviously, you guys, looks like it's been a super successful year. We're talking a little bit before we went hot about some of the teams, and kind of I was surprised at the distance. We can talk about the travel, some of the accommodations, anything on the table here. Chattanooga. I mean, I'm following them more and more. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased because I'm here, but we have I would say one of the best clubs at the Division 3 level, just because of how it's been run and the care. It's like the founders of the club are still around it every day. So it was started by a small group of people in the city, in the community. So Chattanooga is a fairly small city, but you'll be around and you'll see people with like a CFC coffee mug or a t-shirt on. Like I was once out to lunch with the head coach, and the guy in front of us is wearing a jersey. So I was in a bar with a friend, and on the news is the team, and it's like I was on the news with a player sign. It was me, the other coaches.
Hell yeah!
So we're like sitting there. No one recognized us, fortunately, but it's kind of that, like the local city cares about the club, so you see it and you feel it. And you feel that on game days where it's huge. So
it matters so much, man. It matters. You bring that stuff to a team, like you just said. That comes out on game day.
Yeah.
That gets my heart bumping,
especially for the players, it's huge because they get noticed a lot more, like in the town. So they get that pro experience a little bit more than maybe some of the other clubs at this level where it's still growing, like at the local smaller levels. And that's all the work that's been done the last 15 years through the club.
Oh, that's a great feeling too. And I love, like you said, there's history behind this club, right? There's some history and they're still involved. What's better than that? And I'm sure the whole community's behind it. You guys talked a little bit about the stadium. What's the deal with the stadium? I took a quick look at it. It looks like
beautiful.
It looks like a newer
beautiful
spot. What's the deal with the stadium?
No, I don't think it's as new as it looks. Maybe it's.
It looks sharp.
Yeah,
it looks sharp,
I want to say it's 18 to 20,000 people. Hell, we don't fill that, unfortunately. Not yet. Anyway, hopefully, maybe in a couple of years we'll get up with that. But it's owned by the city. It's right downtown. It's
Finley Stadium, right?
Yeah, Finley Stadium. Yeah, it's a mile and a half from the river, so it's like it's walkable. Like that's the other cool thing about it. You don't have to drive out to the middle of like with Foxborough. You got to drive out the middle of nowhere.
Oh, Chris, I've called the radio station and just complain about it. They don't like hearing about it, but
yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, it's right there downtown. There's apartments near it. There's breweries. Like Chattanooga's growing as well. So in the next 5-10 years, it's going to be kind of swamped around that, and it'll probably be even more central.
Good,
but
good.
The city really take care of us. They look after.
Hopefully people can see this where we just pulled up here. You know what I'm saying? But
we average around the 3,500 mark, I think, give or take, depending on what's going on. This week was a little bit lower because of the July 4th. We played Atlanta preseason, and I think it was like 7,500 there. So we're kind of slowly creeping back up again. We're one of the higher clubs for attendance in that third division at the moment. So it's a real cool experience being here.
Fam, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say in general. I mean, it seems like it's a lot of positive stuff going on. So like we talked about the history, people still involved, the community aspect, the field, all that stuff adds up, man. That's
there's a lot of good things going for it.
When you put all that together, that's massive.
Chris, can you talk about the most recent victory that you guys had, the 2-0 victory that from what I gathered seemed sort of like revenge a little bit, not to use that word, but did you get some guys back from last? What happened? Can you fill me in?
So we played Michigan, who were last season's champions. They're always difficult to play. Just maybe the style of play and the tactics they have, they make it very hard to beat, which probably is a key thing for being a pro team, right? You want to make it easy.
Yep.
I think they had a little bit of a target on them, one because they beat us in the semifinal last year. And it was a bit like that Riv heartache. If we had won, we would have hosted the final at home, and kind of everything was building up to that. And then we lost off of a corner late on in the game. So we haven't got a ton of guys that came back from last year. I want to say there's maybe 5 or 6 guys, but in terms of starters, not as many. So it was a fairly new team. But it's still that, I think, between the clubs and the coaching staff.
I was going to say, even if the players change, it's still that, like, you want
the fans, and I think the general Michigan they're known. They have that reputation in the league, right? People are aware of them, and I think people want to beat us because of who we are. People want to beat Michigan because of who they are, and they hadn't lost this season either. So we played them once in, I think it was April. But it was our third game in 8 days. We played a Saturday game, then we played Wednesday down against Birmingham Legion. We got back to the stadium at like 4 a.m. and then we had to be back to the stadium at 10 to get a flight to Michigan. So it was we tried that 0-0. So we didn't really have the best preparation of what we wanted that game. So this was a bit easier. We had the week at home, and we had a good crowd. Even though, like I said, July 4th, we still had a good crowd, and people came out, and
it was great.
Yep, scored two, which is difficult to do because they don't concede a lot of goals. So
let's go.
Yeah, that was a good win. But I think, we just want to try and beat everybody rather than like certain teams, because it's no good beating last year's champions if you lose to other teams. So we're just trying to get that result and get better each game. So we're building and building and building.
I'm just a petty prick. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I try not to be, I think, because being a Spurs fan, like your emotions get killed of caring too much about the team. So there's so many factors. There's so many factors in winning and losing. So it's a good result, but every week needs to be a good result. So we kind of look at it that way.
No, it's good. It's a good mentality, and it's one that, I think anyone would want to thrive for us. So
Chris, before we went hot, we were talking a little bit about how kind of the transfers work in the third tier, in the NISA. It's kind of similar to, the other divisions or the other leagues, just the money, obviously is at a different level.
Yeah.
But you said you guys like have some software and like people are reaching out to you. Give the listeners kind of how that all plays out.
So yeah, it's a third division league, so it's similar to, I guess, all third division leagues in the world. They probably don't have a huge budget for signing players. The money that goes into these teams at this level in third division is maybe to build the squad with apartments, food, salaries, that type of stuff. So there's not a separate budget of, hey, we're going to go sign this guy or that guy. It's more that ticking over. So a lot of the guys would be counted as free agents at the end of the season. You sign them up.
Yep.
They can be signed if they want to. Most of the guys would have like some type of clause in the contract, as any professional player would do. So
yep,
it's just easier sometimes, I think, to wait to the end of the season and bring guys in like that. So we recruit through, sometimes in our league of guys we played against. There's 2 or 3 guys that we signed. There's from other teams in the league.
Other teams,
other teams in the league. At the end of the year, you see guys, and everyone wants to go up a level. So it can be tough sometimes to get guys to come sideways through the league, but it's possible. It just depends on, I guess, their ambitions, their options, of what they want to do. We signed quite a few guys from the team in Cal. We signed a guy from Syracuse, so you can get those guys. And then there's 2 or 3 guys that came from League One. There's potential of pretty much anybody. Like a guy but the problem is if a guy leaves the Revolution, he probably drops down to another MLS club, or he drops down the Championship rather than all that way down. So there's those types of factors. They don't get paid a ton at this level. It's minor league money, so it's hard to attract guys with families maybe to move or to shift their whole life. So it's probably younger guys that are willing to hustle for a year and see where it takes them.
Yep. To me, it's
not a bad 1 year. Like if you
got
it right, like if you're in your prime fame,
it's a showcase.
Right?
It's a chance to showcase. It's a chance to get together, put maybe 2 sessions together, 2 seasons. Put something together, put some tape together, put some film together, and there you go. Have an opportunity.
It's like that in all sports, right? Guys that are trying to make the Olympics, they're sleeping on couches. You look at guys that want to become wrestlers.
Absolutely.
They're wrestling for $20 a night, getting thrown through all sorts of things. So it's just that's how kind of minor league sports are a little bit.
You really know it, Chris.
Especially in like the rest of the world. Here it's a bit different because of the college system you go through.
Yeah. Well,
that's how it is.
I was gonna, obviously with all respect due, and we all played, but I was gonna liken it to the Division III sports, right? In the collegiate system, it's like obviously everyone wants to play D1. Things happen, it's different situations, different circumstances. Like yourself, Chris, how it played out. So yeah, just the way things happen. But yeah, there's I think even still there's a chance to build like that family aspect, like that camaraderie. Because you're going through the trenches. You live, you're those bus rides, those van rides, that's where, championships are made, the off season. So that stuff is like that, I'm sure there's some similarities that you can draw from that.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, the guys their job is to play soccer. So they get up, they come to training, and then they go to the gym, and then they play on weekends. So even if you do it for 3 or 4 years and you don't become a millionaire, you spent 4 years of your life being a soccer player. That's a pretty cool thing, right? You think most of the guys, when they grow up, they want to play pro sports. So whether you're playing for the top level team or you're playing to get paid, you're still a pro. So
that goes in your resume. That's in your resume too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care what, that's going on my resume.
We're collegiate. I'm a collegiate athlete. We're
100%. I threw that in the other day somewhere. I was like, play college soccer as a captain,
Yeah. So just some of that,
I never did that.
I was just thinking about the bus rides, like the I was thinking about my man, we used to drive to Buffalo, play volleyball tournament in January, dicey conditions. So some of those times you got no choice. You're looking over at your buddies who are there, and that's and I'm sure some of these other guys, Chris, right? I'm sure there's not family there per se. These guys are kind of on their own, so it's you have nothing. Naturally you're gonna bond to your other teammates. So
yeah, that's it. Most of the guys, they get housing, so they move and live down here. So unless they're married and bringing wives or kids with them, they're coming by themselves. So you get a new roommate and kind of build bonds. But it's cool because there's guys that were roommates 4 or 5 years ago that probably still talk and are still friends now, and you stay in contact with guys you shared with or played with. So it definitely creates that bond and just different life experiences, right? So
awesome. So let's do this. We talked about Chattanooga. Anything? Any other words you want to talk about? We talked a little bit about they're 9-3 right now, undefeated, 9 wins, 9 wins, 3 ties, 0 losses. We talked. What do you got? 13. You guys are in the cup right now. So still a lot of action. Still a lot.
We got league game. Yeah, league game next Wednesday. Cup game Saturday.
Yeah.
August isn't too bad in terms of games. September, I think I want to say we're out of town for 5 of the games, or 5 of the 6 games of the last season. So we're a doubleheader on the West Coast. I think we're in Florida, New York again, maybe even another trip to Maryland. I'm trying to go week by week. There's so much going. It's easy just to go.
You're bouncing. You're bouncing.
Go 1 week at a time.
I've got the schedule up right here.
You
Yeah,
guys
going to
everywhere.
Maryland.
Yeah.
You got the Independent Cup final that's going to be at home coming up.
Yeah.
You know, a week.
Next Saturday, yeah.
Yep, a week from this Saturday. Yeah, Detroit, Savannah, Salt City. Where's Salt City?
They are Rochester.
There we go. I'm learning. Oh,
Yeah.
I knew you guys played at Rochester. Sometimes I don't get the nicknames. But yeah, here we go. We're going all the way out October. And then hopefully you're playing in November still, and playing for some.
That's the plan.
Some hardware.
To win November 11th. That's the plan.
Yeah,
what we're talking about. So that's what the goal is.
Mark your calendars out to the 11th, boys. You are booked. We are working.
So yeah, we see it there. It's up on your screen, November 11th. Good luck. Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely gonna keep tabs on Charlotte FC as the season goes, Chris. Good luck to you guys.
Charlotte, fam. Fam.
I'm looking at all these cities. I'm like, what's going on here?
You can follow Charlotte. They're in a different league. You can have a different team in this league. As long as Chattanooga's the team in this league.
Yeah, for sure. I'll drop you in Charlotte.
Chattanooga.
Screw those guys.
Honestly, give me real quick aside. How's Chattanooga? Like, how's Chattanooga as a city? How's any good restaurants that you're out there? You talked a little bit.
Yeah, it's really surprising. Like, I knew nothing about it. The only time I came to Chattanooga was the 2 days when we played against them in the fall when I was at Stumptown, the club in Charlotte. And I like to run a lot. There's a river walk. There's 3 mountains surrounding it. The Tennessee River runs right through it. It's a growing city. There's a lot of kind of independent restaurants, coffee shops, stores. It's a very active city for hiking, climbing, walking, running, cycling. They do the Ironman in Chattanooga as well. So I was surprised it was here. You're 2 hours from Nashville, Knoxville, Birmingham, Atlanta. It's like right there in the middle of all of that.
That's a lot of good stuff. Like only 2 hours away. That's pretty good.
It was surprising. Like, I knew nothing about the city, and I live downtown. This is the first time I've lived downtown before. So and obviously the job's going very well. So that may be part of it, but the
sights are nice when you're going for your runs, Chris, and it's beautiful, bro. The bridge, what's that bridge called?
That's the Walnut Street Bridge. So I live on Walnut Street. So like, I come out of my apartment, turn left, and I'm 2 blocks onto there. So
let's go Walnut Street rep.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a really cool city. I was surprised. It's growing. There's a lot of new restaurants coming in, and hotels and apartments. It's expanding. You go to the outskirts of downtown, and there's being built in there. So it's.
You like to hear that in the States, like, these cities that are springing up,
I just looked it up real quick. It's like 180,000 people, close to, like, Worcester is 200,000.
Pretty damn big. That's
pretty big. I was gonna say Worcester's 200,000, and it's the second biggest city in New England.
180's big, fam.
So 180 is big, Chris. But when you break it up into little pockets like that, sounds like you got an area, where you're at, where you're running, where you kind of, you mentioned like those shops, and man, I like to get into, like, give me a nice little pastry, fam. Give me like a nice little, I'll grab a nice iced coffee with Kristen. I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
No, there's a lot of good little local spots. My friend came out from England recently, and he wanted the American experience. He didn't want anything that was a brand name. It was all local stuff. So every day he found a coffee shop, a diner, a restaurant, a sandwich place. So that's the way to go. Yeah, it's cool.
Awesome.
It's definitely worth visiting.
Let's do this. You talked a little bit about you getting into running. You ran the Boston Marathon. Give us the whole scoop. We had our fellow River alum Jill Robar on. She's a big marathon fan. We went into a little bit about the marathon then. But obviously we have a lot of history here in Boston with the marathon. Just I think about Big Poppy and what he was doing, big things over there. But Chris, give us your experience, first time running it, or give us a lowdown, all the scoop. I'm excited to hear about it. Have you run a lot? You run other marathons? Like, I'm excited to hear all about it.
Yeah, so I started running, I want to say like 2016 maybe. After my dad passed away, I kind of used it as a time alone coping type thing. I would say I was fat. I don't think I really was, but I was definitely maybe 30 pounds heavier than what I was now. But just not knowing what to do. I was like, I'll just go for a run and maybe that will slim me down. And then I had a friend who I work with, Mark. He suggested, hey, why don't you sign for a 5K or whatever? That'll help you run a bit more. And And I thought, oh, you know what? Why don't I try and qualify for the Boston Marathon? Because when I lived up there, I'd been to it a couple of times and seen it. I thought it's really cool, not really knowing what qualification was and not knowing the time. So I think the first time I ran a mile, it was like 10:30. That's how out of shape I was. And I think to qualify, I had to run 7:05 miles or something. So I was quite a way away. So that was just in my head the whole time. Like, can I qualify and run Boston? I had hip surgery at the start of 2020. That was an old playing injury. After I'd ran 3 marathons before that, 2 to try and qualify. And then 1 was just kind of the starter one. And I missed out by, I think, 4 minutes in the Washington one. So that was a little bit rough. I was on pace for maybe 18, 19 miles and just slowly started to fade off. But it was like, I have to run Boston. I have to run Boston. That's what I'm going to do. So I had surgery, started running again. COVID happened, shut everything down. Couldn't really do any races or anything like that. So then eventually I got to sign up for a race in Florida just after I moved to Chattanooga in 2021. And I qualified for Boston then. So it's the following year you get to actually run Boston. So everything was just far and far away. And with this job, I didn't know the schedule until up close to the time. But you have to register September. So I registered September. I ran the Chicago Marathon that October. And that was a real cool experience. Like that was the first time doing a major. That's a Boston type marathon. There's people all over the streets.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite marathons. The weather was great. I'd had 2 days off before, so I got up there early. And I'll come back to the preparation for Boston. The streets were crazy. It was like the Tour de France. You're running and people are like starting to peel out of the way as they're like looking around it. It's you can hear people every step of the way. There's music overlapping, there's screams overlapping, so you feel like a real
party.
Yeah, you feel like a real athlete too, because everyone's cheering and screaming like, "You got this!" and shouting out your number. You're like dying and hurting. So, like I said, qualified for Boston, signed up for it. Didn't know the schedule. I was like, even if we have like a home game Saturday, I can get a flight Sunday, run Monday morning. Like, it was the second week of the season. Like, there's no way they're going to send us to the West Coast on the second week of the season. Like, it'll be good. Schedule comes out, San Diego Saturday night, Boston Monday morning.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, great. So I got to go out there. Schedule changes, San Diego Sunday night. So I was like, I'm doing this now. Like, I'm just
committed.
doing it. Like, I don't care. I don't care how I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it. So I harassed the Boston Athletic Association for months to try and get hold of them. I emailed them. I DM'd them on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I called them. I was like one step away from having someone like go down to the office and knocking on the door because I couldn't get there to pick up my bib. In Boston, you have to pick up your own race bib. There's no
in person. Yeah,
you have to do it. You can't do it race morning. So being in San Diego that night before, it turned out there was going to be.
I'm sweating right now. You got me listening like a donut right now, bro.
I think I started sweating like the Friday and didn't stop until after. So I had to go. So we went to San Diego for the game. I did my citizenship. I got sworn in that Wednesday. Then San Diego on Friday for the game on Sunday. I had a flight that I want to say kickoff was 5. Then I had a flight that was like 7:20 out of the airport, which was like 20 minutes away. And then Boston finally called me like Thursday to be like, oh, you can pick your bib up, but don't tell anybody. We're not going to send you anything. Like this occasion will happen. I didn't even know if they like me saying that like in public. So I was like, good, I can do it now. So then I'm in Boston. I'm in San Diego. I got all my stuff there. And then pretty much everything that could go wrong, but still would allow me to do it, like to cut every margin fine, could do. The game didn't kick off at 5. It kicks off at 5:07 because of the anthem, the TV start, all of that.
Of course.
So now I'm like sweating. Then half time isn't 15 minutes. It turns out to be 20 minutes. So like we score in the 90th minute. We went 4-0 up in the first half. So like I joked to Rod, I was like, if we score 10, can I just leave? And he burst out laughing. And we weren't going to score 10, but I was hoping he would maybe say, yeah, just get on the bus.
Take off.
But no, so we scored in the 90th minute and he's like, just go. Yeah. So I you can probably see it on the TV camera. I'm like power walking off to the background. Their director of ops had my luggage in the car. The Uber showed up and I was like, I've got to get to the airport. I've got 20 minutes to get 24 minutes.
Wow.
She's like, don't worry about it. And it was Vin Diesel in disguise. I was hanging on, but she got me there. I got through the gate. I got to the gate, and it was boarding group 2 for my flight. It was overnight, so I got changed real quick. Sitting there on the plane, landing at Boston at like just after 5 a.m. Got my bag, got a taxi to an Uber to my hotel. got changed in the bathroom, left my bag there, Uber back to the start line, or not the start line, to the Boston Commons, had to go get my bib. Then I had to go get on the bus.
To the start line.
And the bus, I missed the first, I was in the first wave. So I missed that last one. So I was in now with the second wave to get there, but the bus got there. It was supposed to get there at 8:50 and the start time was 10. I got there 9:25. And like, if anyone's ever run a marathon, whenever you run a marathon, you will never need to go to the bathroom as bad as just before you get to the start line.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like curled up in a ball on the bus. I get off and it's those little school buses. And I'm 6'2". I'm not built for a school bus. So I'm cramped up like this the whole time. Get off, find the Porta Johns, take off all my like hood, my sweatshirt and stuff like that, put on the actual sneakers I'm going to run in, get my bib on, get my heart rate on, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, because it was like cold and rainy, wasn't it? Like it was kind of nasty.
At this point it was perfect. I put it on, I start jogging, starts to sprinkle. I'm like, oh, it's not gonna be that bad. So I get you get dropped off about a mile from the start. So I ran. I used that as my warm up. I did some sprints to get there. Got there just in time as they were like closing it off for the next wave. Get to the line. I wasn't in like even the line. I'm like right at the very back of the first wave. Didn't even get to see Kipchoge or any of those guys. Then it's just rain comes out of nowhere. I said, well, like what else is going to go wrong today? So that was it. But I got there just literally in time. The anthem kicked off as I got there, and then we start running and soaked all the way through.
That's all right.
Yeah, I ran it, and then just coming past Fenway, the rain really picked up. So it was. But there you go. I've done Boston now.
I was gonna say, what a story
about it. Yeah,
what a story!
I want to do it again and come back and do it without having to get there the morning of and flying from the West Coast.
Some proper conditions. Some proper conditions.
Yeah,
absolutely.
right. Get to enjoy the whole weekend of it. That would be cool. But no, Boston was fun. I just every time I have a marathon and it doesn't go to plan, I'm like, okay, I want to do this better next time. Like, okay, what do I need to do? And obviously that was a little out of my control. So I'm hoping next year
we might have to go out there and cheer you, brother. Honestly, we've been the last talk of the marathon stuff got us buzzing a little bit.
Yeah, so. Hopefully next year I've got enough weekend and I can fly up and do it properly.
Man, awesome. Just when you're talking about like you have to piss right before you run, it's so true. I ran a 5 miler a few years ago, and I pissed like 5 times. I didn't even have like nothing in the tank even. It's like nothing. It's like
it's just your body like freaking out. I think so. Yeah, and everybody else does. So there's thousands of toilets and 2,000 of people. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that one, Chris. Unbelievable experience, man. What a story. And I'm just glad, So I was like Victorious. My heart was beating. I was like, yo, did this guy make it? This guy really?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it until I got off that bus. Like even on the bus, I took the wrong turn. So I was like, this is just like, what else can go wrong?
Like every move, it's like, right, now you're like, right, please.
Yeah, awesome. So it was, I think that was good because maybe I would have overthought it. Like I said, it's been 6 or 7 years I've been thinking about running this marathon and I want to do this and I want to do that. And now I'm just like, am I even going to get there? So.
Dude, well, I'll tell you, congrats, Chris, because that's like a bucket list thing, man. You had your eyes, you had your eyes on the prize. You had the hip surgery. You had obviously the qualifying stuff. So, you had 10-minute miles. You had the workout. Congratulations, man. Yes, that's like real big props over there, man. Good
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun. I'd recommend a marathon to anyone, just not during it.
Yeah, I was just it's tough. My knees hurt when you're talking about it. In my hip, I have hip issues too. I have arthritis in my hip.
Listen, man, I'm a goalkeeper, so I don't need to say anything more. So.
Unbelievable. Let's do this. Good marathon talk. Just what a super accomplishment. We talked a little bit about your citizenship stuff. Let's get into that. Just what question I wanted to ask you is like. I'm always talking about like food, Chris. What you miss any foods from back home? You miss any foods from England?
Probably more candy. I would say that I miss.
Oh, you got a sweet tooth?
Yeah, English chocolate is different. The sugar, I think, is a lot.
I was going to say, more sugar don't we have enough out here? We're like diabetic out here, brother.
Yeah, it's just a different. I like candy here as well, but when I go back, I'll stock up a little bit. Or if people are coming out, I'll have them send some stuff.
Yeah.
The English breakfast, like the cooked breakfast, the fry up.
Yeah,
that is probably one. It's not quite the same out here, even if you try to recreate it. But other than that, like I don't think so too. I mean, I've been here like 17 years now, so I've forgotten most of the English food. And
what are your favorite American? What are your favorite foods? Like,
all the running is carbs, so pizza, pasta. That's kind of my go-to. I think pizza's probably my go-to food if I had to pick one. There's so many variations. It's easy enough to eat.
Food,
Yeah,
awesome.
So I would go pizza.
I'm always curious about food. Vic and I always talking about restaurants. You know, our restaurant experiences. I'm always going to ask about food. What else can we get into? I don't know if you want to shout out anyone, Chris. You mentioned a few. You had a few people that helped you out along the way. You mentioned your dad, man. I wasn't aware of that. So, shout out your dad, man. Gave you, like you said, it looked like it sparked you off on a good journey. A passionate, kind of hobby that more than a hobby. So good for you, man. But yeah, we take a couple minutes here before we get into the overtime, get some shit off our chest. I don't know if there's anyone you want to, like I said, throw a little love to here on the Rip Pod.
No, I guess I go my dad since we brought him up. He was the one that maybe encouraged me most to come out to America, and my mum was very much against it in case I ended up staying here. So he kind of calmed her down and pushed me a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think, he knew of the Boston goal slightly. I thought that'd be cool one day, but it was never, it was like, oh, just train for Boston and do it rather than become obsessed with running. So I would say him. I think he's obviously a huge influence as most fathers are, right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure. No, that's awesome. And even like giving you that boost to come to the States and look at what it's all turned into. So, man.
Yeah, it changed my life for sure. So, it was probably the biggest decision I ever made.
And it got you on the Rip Pod. So here we are.
Exactly.
It all comes full circle, baby.
Yeah, it all leads to here. So,
seeing Chris come up from the hills, fam. Like,
it all comes full circle. He's got his citizenship.
He pushed me for playing as well. He was big, like taking opportunities to try and play and to see whatever level I could get to. And he said similar things of like, even if it doesn't go anywhere, the experiences you get in that 1, 2, 3, 4 years, the people you make can kind of change your life, right? So enjoy it for that rather than expecting some type of outcome. Like enjoy the ride. And so I try to do a little bit of like with these jobs, like especially with coaching. I didn't know anything about Chattanooga 3 years ago, and here I am now telling everyone they should visit it. So who knows like what happens in the future, right?
Chris, we don't. I don't think we need to say it. Your man's proud. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? Your man's proud. So, should go what I was saying, man.
Awesome, man. You know what? If just in general, just soccer, man. What a game. Football, whatever you want to call it.
What a game.
Just a global game. Everybody, I don't know.
Together.
I didn't play soccer as a kid, and I didn't really follow soccer. I knew a lot of people, like, people my age, love basketball, obviously American football. But I know everyone, like, there's been a swell in the U.S. I think just
fam. We're Puerto Rican, Chris. You probably said many times. You probably I'm Puerto Rican. You know how many
100%.
Right, mom and dad born from the homeland. And it's like I played baseball growing up.
Yep.
But baseball is it, and then I made the trip. But I made the switch 8th, 9th grade, and I never looked back. It was like, and when I tell you, like, I never looked back, I really didn't. I almost left baseball in the dust, and it became my true passion to the point where, like, people who knew me in baseball, it's almost like they weren't even my friends anymore. Now they're like, you're a soccer guy, and it's like, yeah, I've crossed over, So I don't know, man. I love it. I love the game.
Yeah, just
I'll go off on it.
Just a global game. We all love it, man. Super glad to have you here on the Rip Pod episode 90, Chris. Thanks for sharing all your experiences, Chattanooga, Riv. Let's get into some OT. I don't know if there's anything you want to kick off your chest. Any, grind my gears. Victorious over here. He's ready. He's over here licking his chops. Why don't you lead the way, Victorious? Why don't you take the first one? Pass the baton to Chris. Chris, you can pass it to me, or you can take you can take bat third if you want. Whatever. This is where we. I'm gonna draw upon my notes here. I usually jot some shit down during the week.
Let's go. We're here.
What do you got, fam?
I'll start with this, and this is probably my last one too. But now, fam, and Chris, we talk about like vacations here too. I had a recent vacation, probably about a week and a half ago, and I already live in New Hampshire as it is, so being already here is it's like, okay, I'm already up in New Hampshire, but we weren't really up north. Went to like a cabin, and just to get away, beautiful log cabin, nice little setting, and kind of set the scene. Nice spot, quiet, remote. First night, great. I'm with my wife, my 6-year-old son. Everything's going fine. First night, great. Second night, I swear to you, it was 1:30 in the morning, and you hear something outside your window, and I'm like, yo, what is going on? My immediate mind, it goes to like, I thought I heard like chanting, like little kids chanting, like in the woods.
Children of the Corn, fam.
The whole that whole So if you get like really scared, like, you know, if you're a horror movie guy or like Children of the Corn,
I don't mess with those movies either.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, those movies are messing me up.
Blair Witch Project. You know, you name all that stuff. That's where my mind goes. So like for the first few seconds, yeah, I'm like, yo, nah, this is not happening, right? Like something. So
it's a dream.
It's a dream. It's or a nightmare. You know, a living nightmare. And you know, I'll fast forward, man. You know, and I don't mean to make light of this, but you know, but essentially what it turned out to be was, yo, next door there was like some serious like domestic violence stuff going on.
Oh man,
like bro, like, you know,
I thought it was like Jason or Freddy in the woods.
I won't even say like who was doing what. Like,
I thought there was killer clowns in the woods or something.
Fam, it may have as well been, you know. And I told you, I don't, you know, I at that point I'm thinking in my head like, why am I not packing?
What am I doing?
Why am I not packing? I'm up here in the woods. From home? Bro, I got nothing right now. All I got is my 6-year-old son and my wife and like maybe a kitchen knife. Whether it's a bear or whatever. So anyway, that was the initial. You know, I won't get too much more into it, man, but it turned out to be some crazy, you know, like 911, like, you know.
Just trying to get a little vacation,
bro.
Like, just trying to get some rest by the woods, a little serenity.
The cabin from hell, fam. We were out the next day. You know, Kendra's out here grabbing her shit. She's like, "That's it. We're out of here. Taking the kid in the morning." I'm like, "Yo, we can't stay the next day. Shit, we're out. Enough. We're taking the kid." It's like, all right. So yeah, man. You know, whether
that's why I stay home.
Yeah,
that's why I stay home, Chris. That's why I stay home.
Chris, are you like you like cabins? You like getting out in the wilderness? You like what's your take on that?
I used to like New Hampshire, like the cabin up there. I used to go on vacation a little bit, like a cabin. A building made of wood, I think, is probably a more acceptable term than an actual cabin. But it was nice, like being out. But I don't want to be out there in the middle of the woods hearing noises, whether it's from an animal or a person. So
for sure,
too much.
I don't think I'm going to put New Hampshire back on my list to visit anytime soon after that. So, yeah.
Unbelievable. That was over the holiday, fam?
Yeah, that was the 4th of July weekend, man. Just drama. And again, it was, you know,
you tried.
Everything was all, you know, in the end, you know, no one died. You know, it was just basically what it really came down to was
no animals were hurt in the making of this film.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Like, just too much going on.
Chris, I don't know if you can top that. I don't know if you've gone into any, you know, had any restaurant experiences. Like you said, you know, Victorious last time was telling about his waitress who was pushing him out of the restaurant. Like, yo, you guys done with that? Like taking this spoon out of his mouth, like
in and out in like 25 minutes.
Chris, what do you got going on with the OT? Welcome to the OT section.
I think I can get anywhere close to that. I'm lucky and unlucky enough that like this, like soccer kind of consumes all my life, so everything's kind of stuck in there. So I don't have the time to go up in the middle of a woods, so maybe that's a good thing. I think the hardest thing I deal with is trying to find parking outside my apartment in the city, or dealing with the dogs wrestling upstairs. That's about it. So man. I think I consider myself lucky. Yeah.
Parking in the city sometimes, or not even the city, if there's just isn't enough parking. Oh man, like taking laps around. What's worse than that? Yeah,
especially in the heat, because I don't want to be parking 2 blocks away and then walking over my backpack and sweating in the heat after training all day. So I can consider myself lucky. If that's the hardest task of my day is find somewhere to park, I'm definitely lucky there.
No, that's for sure. I know what, like I said, we had Jill on. She mentioned that they just put like a restaurant down the, you know, had a one-way street. Now there's a restaurant there. When you start, you know, mixing up the parking and messing with people's vibe like that, man, it gets dicey.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like you said, the heat doesn't help either.
Yeah, that would be the only thing I complain about, the heat. But I live in the South, so I mean, what choice do I have? Yeah.
People get a little wacky about the heat. Like when it starts getting warm up here, it's like, man, the freaks come out, you know?
Yeah. It's either that or live in England where it's raining and it's cold and drizzly, or live in the heat and suck it up. So I'll take the heat and be inside in the air condition at least.
Oh, I had gotta love it.
I had a couple of good ones, man. I sent Victorious one. You know, I just went to a 40th birthday party. My man Jeff Costa, we talked about him a lot, Coach Costa, and we went. He's got a backyard pool, it was at his parents' house. A little surprise party, you know. Turned 40. A Riv alum, Chris. You know, we're roommates back at Riv. He was on the volleyball team and on the soccer team. My man Jeff Costa. So he had his little 40th birthday party, and we brought our kids. You know, bring the whole family. There's like 8 kids in the pool. The pool, you know, probably hadn't been used in a little bit, or not with this much activity in a little bit. basically the lining came down and like, yo, the pool like basically flooded the whole yard, turned into a swamp party. Yeah, yo, flooded like, yo, it's like, it wasn't
Kids
pretty.
everywhere? Kids everywhere?
No, I mean, the kids had to get out of the pool. They ended up getting back in the pool, but like the water's at their waist now. Yeah, it was just, it was a situation. So nonetheless, we made the best of it, and you know what I was thinking about? And I think someone mentioned it too. Like, yo, if I was like, sometimes when I'm, kids, dealing with kids is tough. Chris, like you deal with kids is tough, like you coaching kids and like, back in my, Jeff was like, Jeff was like, when I was a kid, my dad would have been flipping out about this. Right. I was like, it takes like 20, 30 years, you know what I'm saying, to cool out. That's serious business. The whole pool just got manhandled. I would have been flipping out about it. So
this man's like, it's my 40th. I'm chilling.
Yeah, he was just like, whatever, let the chips fall where they may. He was rolling with the punches, right? Chris, is what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned from coaching kids.
Right,
that cycle all the time, like you just can't keep getting mad. You just gotta have to ride it out.
You got to roll with the punches sometimes and just, keep it moving. So I was surprised. Like I was ready to flip out. It wasn't even my house or anything. And I was ready to, start flipping a table over. But, he made the best of it. Congrats to Jeff. Happy 40th birthday, man. We had a blast. Sure. So, we had a good time. But I had to mention that, man. I was like, man, this pool probably hasn't seen this much. There's 8 kids in there, like 10 or younger, doing like, I don't know if they had, they were doing a whirlpool, like they were getting one of those going, it's just too much action for the pool, So I had to throw that out there for the OT section, man, for the Rib Pod, episode 90 here. Chris, Victorious, appreciate you joining us as always. I'm going to give you guys the last word. Vic, I'll give you 90 seconds. Chris, 90 seconds. Just, give us the last word. We're going to the Revs here coming up this weekend. Yep. So we're looking forward to that. But in general, I just want to say thank you to Chris and thank you, Vic, as always. Thank you to everyone listening, everyone watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. But Vic, take us away, brother.
Yep. No, Chris, again, I echo what Hav said. Appreciate you coming on, man. We love hearing it. We always look to, get it out there, get the Rib Pod, Rib Energy, Rib Nation, whatever the hell you want to call it. Because again, there are people who are tuning in, man. Some of the old alumni guys checking in from time to time. Love to see it. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to anyone who's hit us up. Giving us love on the episode. People say, hey, watching on YouTube, TV, whatever. So again, thank you all. Thank you to all our guests, YouTube. Chris, man. Pleasure, brother. It's been a pleasure having you, and thanks for sharing your story, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Chris,
no, I appreciate it.
I was gonna say, give us pass the baton to you. Give us the last word here.
No, I appreciate it. I think it's like we talked about earlier, right? You're going to school, and like this has come around from playing soccer and going to school. Like these experiences have been a fun hour and whatever. So those bonds created from whether it's soccer or school, like they've been important. I appreciate still being involved. Like I know we only played together for a year, and that was a long time ago, but sitting here chatting and it's been fun. So I appreciate it.
It feels like the same. Honestly, it doesn't feel any different than when we first met on the field, brother. So, it's, again, that's what that soccer world, that's what football vibes bring, man. The soccer and football vibes. That's what we're here for. Bringing it.
So I would say as well on that soccer vibes, I would encourage people to support their local team, not just the big team, because I think that community you see it with the guys we have here and with other, and especially like in Europe or South America, you support your little non-league local team, like the friendships and the bonds you can build, as well as the excitement of watching some football as well. So I would encourage people to not just be a snob at the bigger leagues, but like try and find some fun, maybe if on the field, not as much, but that culture, that community, that's huge as well, especially as it's growing now. I think with the World Cup and the leagues expanding, it's only going to get bigger and better over here.
Awesome. That'll be the last word, Chris, man. We appreciate you having us on, and I think that's a great word to leave on. Just, support the home team, support the local club, support the small club. It goes a long way for sure.
And Chattanooga FC as well. You can support them from anywhere. We've got people all over, so yeah.
What we're gonna do too, we'll definitely shoot a link out there. Whatever, however we can find you guys on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever socials, we'll shoot that out there as well, Chris. Man, we'll supply that to the people. I was just gonna say, episode 90, man. We appreciate you, Chris Nugent. Thanks for sharing your experiences. Thanks for just coming through, having fun. I love the marathon talk, man. I love the running talk. Victorious as always up in New Hampshire. Appreciate you, man. Episode 90, Chris down there in Tennessee, man. We're going to say peace to the people. Thanks. Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you next time. Rib Pod. Peace.